welcome back to another SUPboarder review, and this week we're going to be looking at the Naish Raptor, and this is the V128 model. The Naish brand itself started back in 1979, where windsurf legend Robbie Naish started his own brand of windsurfing equipment, and now it makes top-end quality surf and wind-based equipment to this day. The specifications for the V128 Raptor: 7 foot long, 33 inches wide, 4 3/4 inches thick, comes in at 128 litres, it weighs just under 8 kilograms, and it retails at 1699. This board's available in 3 sizes. This one, the slightly smaller size, is a 31 wide, and that comes in at 116 litres, and they do a 95 litre version that's 28 wide, and they are all 7 foot long. The general overview of the board: it's a super short wide board, quite a square nose, very parallel rails leading to a very square swallowtail at the back. All of the Raptor range are only available in a quad setup, and the materials these boards are all made of, they're all made of the top end range, let's say from Naish, which is the LE range, and that involves carbon, glass, and a nice honeycomb top layer that you can see through the top of the deck there. Who's this board designed for? This one particularly will suit a larger rider with a good surfing background to surf small to medium sized waves. Okay, so moving on to our thoughts on what we think about this board. Now, straight away, the first thing you'll notice is it takes a while to get used to the width to length ratio of this board. I mean, if we just hold it up here, just see my head through that. So it's 33 wide, 7 foot long. It's probably it is the most widest, shortest SUP we've ever tested and seen on the market. I don't think anybody makes a wider one. But then as soon as you start looking at the board itself and the finish of the board, you realise with the classic Naish styling, it looks great. Beautiful to see the honeycomb through the top of the deck there. You can really see what you're buying into. Lovely EVA deck pad throughout with a nice kicker at the back of the tail. Classic Naish deep offset carry handle. Probably, I think they were the first brand to ever do that. Really beautifully finished. And then turning the board over, lovely Polynesian print. Classic slash styling, as I said just now, and a nice quad fin setup. The fins look really well finished. So moving back onto the shape of the board, looking at it a bit more detail now. Obviously, I said it had a wide parallel outline, very square. There are a lot of boards in the market that are sort of coming out like that at the moment. Quite a soft rail at the front there, which doesn't catch in the wave. Moving back to a slightly harder rail at the tail, which is a standard sort of nice all-round rail setup you see on most boards. The bottom shape itself, if we get our square edge on it, it is incredibly flat at the front, incredibly flat, and virtually there's no definition at all there. Moving back, then we have a very slight amount of V, which is starting in the middle, which means that the rails are coming off at the sides, and then moving back, it's just a tiny bit more pronounced, but hardly anything, to be honest. And then moving back towards the fins, and even between the fins, you notice it's still got a tiny amount of V, but it's pretty much flat. So for a board of this width, actually very flat board with only a small amount of V. Looking at the rocker line shape of the board, nice little amount of nose kick there that works well in the choppy conditions. Pretty flat in the midsection, which is going to give you lots of speed, and a small amount of tail kick, which aids to the general performance of the board. Okay, moving on to the performance and what it's like to surf and paddle on. Now, straight away, let's talk about the paddling out back and standing on the board. It's very wide and it's incredibly stable. Even for its length, it's incredibly stable. It handles paddling out in choppy conditions very easily, and the waves don't tend to drag over the nose, so you can stand on it very easily in choppy conditions. When you're paddling for a wave, it does catch waves okay, but you do have to work at your technique to keep the board going in a straight line due to the width, length, and actually having the quad setup and the wide tail. But as I say, it does catch waves okay, so you should be able to paddle in waves early enough. And when you catch a wave, this board feels incredibly loose and lively, way looser and way lively than I expected. I mean, I generally look at this board 33 wide, probably think it'll surf like a bit of a dog, won't be able to do very much, a little bit boring, but it's far from that. It's loose, lively and fast, very easy to snap turns, very easy to charge down the line and hit really nice floaters and sections at the end. Due to that, obviously the width, it makes re-entries very easy and very forgiving. Very fast and fun in smaller wave conditions. We were testing it in sort of waist to maybe shoulder high on the sets. Really fun for those sort of average size. One thing I noticed straight away when riding this board is designed for a rider of a good level. Okay, why is that? Because it's easy to stand on, it's relatively easy to paddle out back, it's super stable, but actually when you drop down the wave, it's about footwork. If you go and plant your back foot on the centre there, on the pad, do your bottom turn, come up, do your top turn, the board will not give you what you want back. You have to trim your foot from left to right to be getting that. So on the bottom turn you have to be moving your foot over to getting it over the rail, and over the top turns you have to be placing it back over the top, or even on the other side of the board. Yes, a heavier rider will have to do this less, but they still are going to have to move their feet a lot. Just because of the width of the tail and the extra quad pins right on the rails, you have got to move your back foot. If you start moving your back foot and trimming yourself around the board is phenomenal, as I've just said. But if you leave it in sort of a stagnant position, the board will feel very big and a bit out of control. Therefore, if you're a beginner and you're looking at this sort of board because it'll fit in your car, think again, don't go this way. This is a really good performance-based board. If used with the right ability and size of rider, they're going to get a lot out of it. Yes, this board's way too big for me, 128 litres. It's the big version, but I'd be looking at maybe the 95 litre, the 28 wide, up to about a 78 kg rider. And then maybe if you're a under 88 kg rider, look at the middle size, 116 litre, 31 wide. This sort of board will lend itself up to the 98 kg rider. So there's 3 different boards there for very much 3 different rider weights. Negatives. Any negatives or downsides to the Raptor and this version, the 128 litre. If this board is chosen and ridden by the right ability and size rider, there is absolutely no negatives that we can see. Now, value for money at £1,699, you probably guessed, is a top end price point, but it is from one of the well-known SUP brands in the market out there. A very well finished quality product, and you do get a free board bag of that as well, as you do with all the LE range. So I would say it is worth value for money, and if it's the sort of board you're after, it's well worth putting your hand in your pocket and going for. So the SUPboarder verdict for the Raptor: this is a way looser and livelier board than we first thought, and incredibly fun to ride in small to medium sized surf, and if you are the right weight and ability rider, you really are going to get a lot out of this in average surf conditions. But don't buy it just because it fits in the back of your car. If you have any questions or comments about this board or any of the other boards we've tested in our reviews, please leave them in the comments section below and we'll get back to you, and we'll see you next time.